My name is Dr. Dave Schalow, and today we're going to talk about goals. We're going to talk about first sort of the psychological principles that are necessary to attain success, and you're going to find that goals are the sort of go hand in hand with being successful. And we're going to talk about not just one method, but multiple methods to give you exposure across the board. So that's kind of where we're going. Okay, I don't know how many of you have read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you have not, it is a really good book. You should look it up. I will shorten it up here very specifically, though. He interviewed lots of successful people and tried to find out identifying characteristics that made them successful. And what he found was the number one thing that they all seemed to have in common, they had a definite purpose in life. And they had a burning desire to attain that purpose. And that's where our goal setting is going to come in. We're going to have to clarify what we want to accomplish. And then through some psychological techniques, we can build some desire to attain that. If we can do that, we're going to be successful. And I can't even emphasize enough, I would go as far as to say obsession with accomplishing what they want in life. Most of the really successful people are obsessive. In modern terms, they'd probably be clinically diagnosed as OCD. They're just really into it. Now, I don't want you to go off crazy, but again, focus maybe is a better word. They're extremely focused on accomplishing what they want. And again, that's the main thing here. And they found that was a common characteristic in almost all the successful people. Won't go through the rest of that. That's okay. Second, psychological principle. This was developed by a guy named Earl Nightingale, who was probably my first mentor that turned me on to personal development. He wrote a book called The Strangest Secret. And I'll save you the trouble of reading the book. Strangest secret is 6 words. You become what you think about. If you think about success, you will become successful. If you think about failure, you will probably have more failure. If you think about all the problems you have, you will have more of them. If you think about what you want positively, you'll get more of that. Now, it's not literally true. That's what my reference there to the high school joke is it's not literally true, because if it were, every high school boy would be a high school girl. And maybe that's just me, but that was sort of my high school experience. Your actions will be consistent with your dominant thoughts. If you're thinking about stuff, a certain thing all day long, you're going to take actions to move you closer to that goal or that objective. There are tons of psychological evidence that is true. You get your subconscious mind going all the time, and that's what you want to do. The subconscious mind is way more powerful than your conscious mind. So remember, everything starts with thoughts. Thoughts lead to feelings. The way you think will impact how you feel. How you feel impacts whether you are motivated to take actions and what actions you do take. And only by taking actions are you going to get the results you're looking for. But your results then all start with how you think. So that's why this is a big deal. Second point, there's a very popular idea of this law of attraction. Has both good and some bad things attached to it. The essence of it is, if you know what you want and you think about it a lot, it'll be attracted to you. And that's generally true. However, it leaves out, to a large extent, although it is implied, but it leaves out the idea you need to take action to accomplish what you want. And now the rest of what we talk about here will incorporate action, as you'll see. Essentially, let's even shorten this up even more. WWWH. Know what you want, when you want it, add in why you want it. We haven't really talked about that, but by adding in the why, it goes takes this extra step getting you towards desire. Why you really want it is you don't want $1 million maybe just to have $1 million. You want $1 million in order to kind of, maybe you want to help people, provide for your family, accomplish some lifelong dream you've always had. That's what's going to motivate you. The $1 million isn't motivational. The why is motivational. And then finally, how you intend to get it. This is develop a plan. Come up with a plan. And then I would add one more thing to it. The price to be paid. Everything has a price. Either time, money, hard work, sacrifice, something. If you have a monetary goal and you're working 8 hours a week and making $40,000 a year or 8 hours a day, well, you're going to have to do something else. That might be start a business on the side, which means you work evenings and weekends. Yeah, but you're tired. You worked all day hard at your job. That's a price to be paid. If you're not willing to pay the price, it's pointless. Don't write it down. It's not coming. You can sit around and think about it all day long. You're not going to win the lottery. Okay, Napoleon Hill added 6 steps to create desire. You're going to find there's repetition all over the place here. And repetition is good. So don't worry about it. It should be number 1, definite and specific. We already covered that. Trade-offs, what are you willing to do? That's the price that I just talked about. Now, throw a date on, put a deadline on it. Have a plan, which we have talked about. And then you make sure you put it all in writing, because nothing happens unless you think on paper and put it down so you can review it. And then finally, review it twice a day. Say it ideally out loud. Again, easy in the car, not so easy if you're sitting in the waiting room at the doctor's office. But somehow or another, read that thing twice a day so it gets ingrained in your psychology. Now, anybody who's been to college has studied SMART goals. This is in most of the management textbooks and lots of different places. So the fact that there's, again, repetition just means a lot of these things work. We're back to being specific. Got to be measurable. Can't be a general, I want to get rich. How rich? And it's got to be something you can measure shmoney. It's not just some intangible. So you want specific, measurable. Now, in my version, this is the Schalow Success System version of actionable or of SMART goals. In most textbooks have this as attainable. I don't like that because it's similar to the realistic. To me, attainable and realistic are essentially the same thing. And if you don't have action with it, as we talked about earlier, you're just dreaming. It's not, that's that law of attraction. You're daydreaming. But if you put action steps to specific things that you want that are measurable, it's realistic, and finally in the time frame that you want to set the goal, put a deadline on it. And then you add action steps. These 5 things, these 10 things need to be done in a certain sequence, and it'll move you closer to your ultimate goal. You do that, now you've got a real goal. And you've got a real goal that should be motivational. Even shorter, that's 5 steps. That's way too complicated. Maybe we want short. Here it is. Decide what you want. Figure out the cost. Remember, everything has a cost. This is the price to be paid. Success never goes on sale. It's never going to be easy. And then finally, pay it. Decide what you want. Figure out the cost. Pay it. Those 3 things, you can't get any simpler than that. But if you are really clear on what you want, and you know what it's going to cost, and so you're going in with your eyes open, it's going to take a lot of work. And you're willing to do it, and then you go do it, you will succeed. That's what it takes. Now, we mentioned planning a little bit. there's a concept called PDCA. Again, you'll find it in lots of different places. Near as I can tell, it was started by a fellow by the name of Dr. Edward Deming, who is the guy who rebuilt Japan after World War II. And he came in, he's a management guru, and he developed this PDCA format. Very useful. So when you're doing those action steps, okay, that's basically the foundation for your plan. And any plan involves an honest assessment. You set a goal. You got to be honest about where you're at. My life sucks. I want to be great. I want to be successful. But right now, you got to admit, your life isn't working. If you won't admit that to yourself, you're not going to be able to make it. So you need an honest assessment where you are, where you want to go. A lot of people call that the gap. There's a gap between where you are and where you want to go. So ask yourself the right questions. What I mean by that is, why aren't you already there? What is holding you back? Now, why does your life suck? It's the things you've been doing. But that's really hard for a lot of people. But you will really hold yourself back if you are not willing to look in the mirror and address it. So make an honest assessment of where you are relative to what your objective is. And then develop a plan in all areas of your life. You don't want to be totally unbalanced. You need a personal plan, business plan, money plan, health plan, and so forth. Okay, then, as we said earlier, do it. Implement the plan. Step 1. If you made a list of 10 things, what are we going to do today that moves us on that list? What are we going to do tomorrow, the next day? Every day you should be doing something that moves you closer. Successful people have a bias for action. They don't just think about things, they do them. So you got to be willing to fail. Successful people fail all the time. They fail frequently, but they fail forward. They're willing to look bad in order to look good. Everybody who is really great was once really bad. Accept it. That's part of the job description. Okay, then, implement a plan. Guess what? They don't always work. We talked about failure. Most people fail, and then they quit. It didn't work. Oh, I can't lose weight. I can't make money. My life still sucks. And they quit. That's the check step. So you got to check how's it working. And again, honestly, if you're trying to lose weight and after 2 weeks, you've gained 3 pounds, it's not working. Don't quit. Don't go be 500 pounds. Adjust the plan. Add exercise. Maybe you were just dieting. Well, add exercise to it. Continue to diet, but add exercise. If you will follow the 4 steps, make your plan, do it, check how it's working, then adjust. And if you keep doing that, you cannot fail. So it's useful for developing a game plan in any area of your life. Okay, kind of summarize some tips here. We've hit most of these. Write down your goals, yep. Make plans to achieve them, yep. Work on them every day, yep. And if you do that, you can't fail. Slight variation. Make a list of what you want. Clarity is really important. It'll really help you in organizing your life when you know what you're trying to do. Because you'll be faced with decisions. Oh, I should do that. I should do this. I don't have time for both. What do I do? You do the ones that moves you closer towards your objectives. But you got to know what they are first. So this is big help. Third point here is a little different. Make a list of what you don't want. Some people, everybody talks about what they do want. But for some people, it actually works to talk about, they don't want their life to suck. They don't want to be a failure. They don't want to be maybe like a relative or someone they know who they don't respect. So depending on the type of person you are, it sometimes is useful to make a list of what you don't want. So a little bit focusing on the negative. I'm not actually a big fan of that, but again, it works for some people. So I throw it out there. And always plan on paper. Now, here's your first set of action steps we want you to do. Okay, number 1, make a list of 5 major goals you want to achieve. And in this case, now you can make this whatever you want it to be. I'm going to just give you an arbitrary, in the next year. Again, you could go 5 years, you can go 6 months, 3 months, whatever you want. But pick something. Pick 5 major goals